everybody is on a different journey. And I think that sounds so cheesy, but that's like the number one thing to remember. Hello there, my name is Julia, and I'm welcoming you back to Paint and Chat, the series where I show you the process of a painting and also chat. And yeah, and it's a chill time. Today, I am going to be showing you the process of this pretty little painting that I made. I absolutely love this painting. I think she came out fantastic, and I'm really proud of it. And so I'm excited to show you the process. And we're going to be talking about why, well, not just why you shouldn't compare yourself to other artists, but how to actually stop doing that, because it's such a bad habit, and I think it's so natural for us to do. And so yeah, let's get started. So this is the start of my process. As you can see, I did a sketch. I do a sketch with every single painting I make. I always start with a sketch, and then I added a pink underpainting. I always loved, I think my favorite type of underpainting to do is like a bright pink one, because I just love the way it shows through, and I think a pink would really complement the shades of blue and green in this painting. And now I'm going in and just adding blobs of color just to block in the color. And so yeah, you should stop comparing yourself to other artists. And I think it's something that we all kind of do. We all go on Instagram and we see someone and they're better than us, and we're like, oh, that hurts. And you wish you could paint like that, and it physically hurts you that you can't. And then you see that person is actually 15 years old and they only made 50 posts and they have 100,000 followers. And then you just want to jump out a window. But yeah, I think it's really important to learn how to do less of that, because there's always gonna be, I think the truth is about art, about anything you do, is there's always gonna be someone who's better than you. There's always going to be somebody to be jealous of. I think at the end of the day, you can either be jealous or be inspired. And I think choosing to be inspired is always better. Looking at that person and seeing what are they doing that I can learn from them, that's always better. And I think jealousy it's such an emotion, but I think the number one way though for me, I think over time I've really learned that when it comes to jealousy, like, it's just such a distraction for me, and it eats away at me, and it really distracts me from my own work. Speaking of my own work, now I'm adding more details in. I didn't block in all the colors, I just blocked in some of them because I was really excited to get started working on the details of the swans here. In case you can't tell, I'm painting two swans that love each other, hence the heart. Their necks make a heart, and I think that's really cute. And now I'm painting the details of the water. Water's kind of challenging, but I really like painting water. But anyway, I think the number one thing that kind of drove me to stop comparing myself, the number one thing to me that was really helpful with that was just realizing that everybody has such different life circumstances. Like, yeah, okay, that 15-year-old might be much better than you at whatever type of art you make, but that 15-year-old, maybe their parents got them into art lessons with like amazing professional artists starting at age 5. You know, maybe they started painting when they were 5, and that's, maybe this person has training and resources that you would have never had because of how you grew up, because of where you grew up, because of just, your life. And also maybe this person has time that you don't have, money that you don't have. I really learned this a lot when I was in college and I majored in theater, and everybody else, I felt like they were all better than me. Everyone, it felt like I was like the worst in my class. And I wouldn't say I was the worst. I would just say that everybody had, it was my first time taking acting classes, really. But everybody else had been taking acting classes, voice lessons, you know, much younger than me. So I was just, we were at different points in our journeys. And now, back to the painting for a second, I'm finally getting to do more of the background. I did a bunch of trees in the background. I thought about what they would look like from far away. I'm really proud of them. I really like that part of the painting, and I'm really adding some greenery, and I'm finally going in and adding the blue sky. And I always notice that there is like a little bit of like, almost like it's like lighter when you're like the bottom of the sky, you know, at the horizon line than it is like when you go up. And now I'm adding the tree branches, which I always find it a little challenging to do tree branches in a more organic way. But I like how these came out, and going in doing more details with the water, which took me some time. And I'm using gouache, of course, in case you couldn't tell, but I love gouache. But anyway, yeah, I think the biggest thing is, like, I think I saw something on Twitter, actually. I saw a tweet where it was like, oh, don't compare yourself to somebody else who started life with a whole starter pack, you know, and you didn't start with anything. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, don't compare. You don't know what resources somebody else had that you don't have. And I think people, they don't like to talk about their privilege. They like to pretend they did everything by themselves, for themselves. But yeah, no, a lot of people had some type of help, and a lot of successful people did. That's why I think it's important to talk about like Nepo babies and identify them properly as Nepo babies, so then you can feel less jealous, so then you can have more of a realistic view of what it would be like for a normal person to chase whatever dream the Nepo baby has, and understand it's going to be easier for them because they have way, way, way more resources. So I think that's like the number one way I've stopped comparing myself, is realizing that people are on different parts of their journey, and other people have so many different resources that you will never know about, and a lot of people don't want to share their privilege with you. Just going back to the painting for a second, but I don't know if you noticed, but I did those bushes, and now I'm doing the grass. And in this painting, I was very impressionist with the bushes there. I was very much like just kind of not being particular with it, like just kind of doing the basic shape of it in darker green and then adding the lighter color on top. And that's kind of also how I'm doing the grass, although I do go in with a finer brush later. There I am going in with that finer brush, and that's how I always work on a painting. I start with the bigger blocks of color first, and then slowly add more highlights and shadows, and I love painting so much. That's another way that I stopped comparing myself to other people, is I remember I'm having a good time. Art is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it and it's just a race to be the best artist, you're not gonna have a good time. You need to just loosen up a bit. You need to have fun. If you're not having fun, go do something else. Because art is both, it can be work, because you can be doing it as a job, but before it's work, it should be fun. It should be something you liked. It should start at least as a hobby. And also, if you're doing it as a hobby, don't worry about being good. Worry about having fun. You know, and I think we all have this kind of intrinsic goal to make something good, but sometimes it's just, yeah, no, it's okay to make art that kind of sucks. It's okay to make art that's not good. It's okay, actually. And I think you need to realize, like, people you're comparing yourself to, maybe they're doing it as a full-time job, and maybe you're just doing it for fun. Of course, their art, because they're taking their art more seriously and they're working on it full time. But if you have it's not your job, then you're definitely having a different experience as an artist. Anyway, back to the painting for a second. So this tree that I'm painting, I want to make it a cherry blossom tree, just because I like cherry blossoms. I felt like the vibes were correct for that. So I started by adding a lot of white, and now I'm going in and adding like red and pinkish tones and blending that into the white. And yeah, I think that was challenging to make it look semi-realistic, the cherry blossom. But I think I did an okay job. But yeah, everybody has a different goal as an artist, and their goals will very likely be different than yours. Their journey is different than yours. Everybody is on a different journey. And I think that sounds so cheesy, but that's like the number one thing to remember. And everybody has different privileges and everything. Oh, and I'm adding some lily pads because I think lily pads are cool. And now I wrote two of a kind on this painting because I thought that would be cute. I thought I could maybe make it into like a wedding card or something. I don't know. So that's why I added the lettering there, the little message there. But I think also, more than anything, jealousy at the end of the day is a distraction from art. And I think I saw a woman talk about how, like, oh, people shouldn't call their sketchbooks if they're gonna make really good art in there, because then other people feel intimidated by that. But it's like, my making of a sketchbook, what I put in my sketchbook has nothing to do with what you put in your sketchbook. Like, you feel free to make, not as good art in your sketchbook. Your sketchbook, you don't have to show it to anyone. It doesn't have to be perfect, It doesn't have to look like what you see on Instagram. But I'm free to make whatever I want in my sketchbook and make it look pretty. I think if you're too afraid to make a sketchbook because you don't think it's gonna be as good as what you see on Instagram, I think you really have to dissect that, because at the end of the day, unless you're in college and somebody's gonna grade your sketchbook, nobody's grading it. It can look horrible and you can show it to no one and it can just be practice for you. So don't base what your art practice is on somebody else's. And I think it's very natural for us to do that, especially when we're on social media and everything. But you don't have to, your experience as an artist, the art you make doesn't have to be similar to anyone else's. And that's the moral of the story. But anyway, I finished the painting. So it says two of a kind, forever intertwined. And I think it's very cute. I might make it into like a Valentine's Day thing or like a wedding card, but I'm definitely gonna make prints of it at some point. I had a lot of fun making this painting. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you felt a little bit inspired to let go of your jealousy and let go of comparing yourself. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, maybe subscribe. I don't know if I'm gonna do another paint and chat like this anytime soon. I do a lot of art videos. I'm about to start doing more music videos again. I'm also a musician, so I just like to talk about fun artsy stuff on here and do fun artsy things, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what this channel will be, but I have a goal of 100 subscribers. I would like to hit that. And if I do hit that, I was thinking about what special thing to do. Maybe I'll post a video of my cat purring. That's what you get. You get to see my cat purr. So click that subscribe button, please. Thanks. Thank you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Woo woo!